Hi, I'm Suzanne Gallagher, and I'm the Executive Director of Parents' Rights in Education. And today I want to introduce you to two men, a same-sex couple, who have been together for over 34 years. One of them is a retired Oregon elementary school teacher who taught in the same school for over 30 years. And the other one worked in and around Yamhill County for over 30 years. And both of them have lived in Yamhill County for over 26 years. So they are Yamhill County residents. And sadly, they must remain anonymous at this time as they fear retribution from those with opposing views. So whatever they say tonight will be very eye-opening, and we encourage them to do this interview with us because there is a voice that needs to be heard in relation to the attempt to recall two members of the Newberg School Board, also in Yamhill County. So I'd like to introduce you to these two gentlemen. They believe that there should be no flags permitted in the schools, with the exception of the American and state flags. So what do political flags do?
They would cause divisiveness, and they separate kids from each other. It causes more of a wedge in groups, or identifies groups to be more singled out. Instead of being inclusive, it's exclusive.
It's exclusive. And this is a letter that I have in front of me that you wrote, the two of you wrote together, and parts of it have been shared with the board. And so I'm referencing that. I want to remind you of some of the things that you brought up in that letter. You talked about teaching, reading, writing, and math. In other words, the role of a school. And as a teacher, what is your opinion of that? What is the role of a school?
Well, the role of the school, the role of the teachers in that school is to teach academics, math, reading, spelling, writing. Teaching morality is not a teacher's position.
Where should that be taught?
Well, if it's going to be taught, it should be taught at home and through the community, not in the classroom as a teacher.
And by community, we mean those extended family members that are around that child all the time.
So whatever their family makeup is, because we do know that there are many different kinds of families these days. But that should be the right of the parents or the guardians of those children. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. It is not, I shouldn't be teaching their children morality or sexuality or any of those things. Reading, math, writing, I will go back to that. It's academics. And really what needs to be addressed is your tax dollars are being used, are there for teachers to be paid, and that's what you're paying for them to do, is teach academics.
So how do you feel about what's going on in the classroom and with the school and what's happening actually in Newberg itself,
right?
And with the attack on these two individuals, do you think it's a fair recall?
What my opinion of it is it's divisive to our community as a whole, and that's basically a reflection of what is happening in the school at this point with this whole, basic turmoil that's going on. And what I'm seeing is I'm seeing the side that is the yes for the recall is basically saying, well, this is your option. You have the option as a parent to either take your kids out of the public school and spend money and put them in private school, which we all know is very expensive, or accept the fact that it's okay that when you drop your kids off at the school, that someone else is going to be basically parenting your kid for that whole time frame and teaching them morality and that you would never even think about teaching them at home, let alone expect to have that taught at school. So it's a real real bad situation right now in Newberg.
And like you said, it is divisive. And the responsibility of parents and their families to make those decisions about what they learn about morality and life choices and things like that. Some people do believe that the school should almost become the parent in this sense. And we're very concerned about that as an organization.
Well, that's kind of a societal thing.
Yes, it is.
We saw that with the years of teaching. As my years of teaching progressed, I saw more and more where, you can have all kinds of families. It doesn't have to be the traditional family.
No.
It can be any family can do a great job of raising children. I had same-sex couple children. I mean, the parents were same-sex that I taught their kids, and the child was perfectly fine. I taught Hispanic children. I taught black children, okay? There was never any issue whatsoever. And you could have your traditional families, and some of those weren't as, they were dysfunctional or possibly. But you saw a movement kind of a way where our society has changed in a way that, let somebody else raise your kids, and that's not okay.
So I have a very pointed question for you guys. Do you think that this effort within the schools to display gay flags and BLM flags, political flags in the classroom, and make it a very pointed issue, really, in the schools to young children? Now, these are minors.
Right.
We're talking about other people's minor children. They're not adults. They don't vote. Do you believe that is having a positive or negative effect on the civil rights for gay and lesbian community? In the long run, is that good or is it harmful?
Well, I think it's dramatically harmful because you are separating those kids out and you're labeling them. We tried to avoid that. It be inclusive in our classrooms. If you went for special ed, you were still part of the room. They came out, got some and these kids are going to be labeled. And if somebody is homophobic about it, now you've identified that kid to be harassed.
All right. Okay. So
that child, I should
that
say.
child,
Yeah,
the
I don't
child,
like the
the
word.
student.
The student.
But let's get back down to the basics, that our sexuality is a small part of who we are as human beings. And there is no, we shouldn't be amplifying that when we're trying to educate these kids and making that the center stage. And that's what's happening, as I see it, in Newberg right now. And it's happening across the country in subtle ways, but it seems to be more amplified there in the Newberg setting. And unfortunately, what you're doing to the child is you're basically saying that this is the big thing, the big picture of who you are. And I've heard the argument that the flags, they need to see the flags for their safety, that they feel comforted. Well, what are you teaching the kids whenever they become adults? That they need to go to work, or they need to carry on their life with the flag forever in their life? We've been together for 34 years. We've been gay, grew up gay. We both knew we were gay from the time we were young, and we didn't need the flags. Granted, that flag represents a huge historical point for what has happened with the gay people in America and the gay people across the world, but it was never intended to be used like it's being used today in Newberg.
And I truly believe, in light of what he's saying, there are ways to assist gay children that really need to be addressed because of the suicide rate and the lack of, but that's not just from the school, that's lack of acceptance from home as well, or society. And we need to be, kids at that age, when you're teenagers, you're already unsure about life in general.
And I don't know if we'll use this in the interview, but Do you know that they are asking students age 10 through surveys that are given by the Oregon Health Authority to check a box about their sexual orientation and their preference at age 10?
Yeah, they don't have any.
Yeah.
No.
That's,
No.
What do you
That's-
think about that?
I think it's wrong.
yeah.
I think it's unconscionable that you would do that, because now you're just messing with them even that much more.
You're
They
basically
don't-
setting up goads and you're goading them with prods and asking them to go down a certain way whenever they're, that's not the way kids should be. Let kids grow up to be kids. You know, I remember as a child saying, you know, enjoy being a kid because, you know,
Yeah.
we don't know what's, as a kid, you don't know what's out there in the world. And what Newberg is doing is they are pushing these kids and making them feel and question their own sexuality when, again, that's a small part of what our whole lives are about. And it's just out of control.
Thank you so much for this time, you guys. It's been really enlightening.
I
Did
wanna
you
s-
have one last thing that
I'd
you
like
wanted to add?
I want to say that we felt the retribution you mentioned earlier because we, you know, as a gay couple, that if we voted no for the recall or voted no on some of the other issues going on in Yamhill County, that we are homophobic and that we are basically racist and prejudiced. And I want, if one person out there that listens to this would hear the fact that it's okay to be gay and to be a Republican, doesn't mean that you're a Trumpster. It's okay to be, you know, I voted for Obama. So it doesn't matter what politicalness, but quit using the political environment to sway people into voting yes or no on this important issue, because it's really that important that, and it's okay to vote no and to be gay and to be a Republican and to be a Democrat. Doesn't matter what you are. Let's take a step back and think about what we're doing here for our kids.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Welcome.